Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. We are discussing again another type of trade rumor type video, but this time with the Pittsburgh Penguins. But if you are new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content, all things related to hockey in the NHL overall. And because it's the Pittsburgh Penguins, I had to put my boy Marty Straka up there. I know it's not him in a Penguins jersey, but he is one of the few Penguins that I have as a jersey of an opposing team. So bear with me there. But when it comes to the Pittsburgh Penguins, they have been subject to plenty trade talk over the past week, 2 weeks really, since they got kicked out of the playoffs originally. And this year, another disappointing year for them, getting kicked out of that first round for back-to-back years. Jim Rutherford clearly not happy with it, and he makes the trade for Kasperi Kapanen just over a week ago to help this offense and help change some things. But Rutherford has openly said, to the likes of being on Pierre Lebrun's podcast and some other reports, Darren Dreger has come out with good information as well recently, with the possibility of a goaltender being moved. It seems inevitable at this point that one of Tristan, Jarry, or Matt Murray is going to be moved shortly. It seems that there are plenty of trade opportunities lined up, and now it's just a matter of executing on that trade for the right price and at the right time. So that seems inevitable, but is that the only move that Rutherford is going to make? I don't think so at all. I think he's only getting started. He's been very vocal and a lot more open than other GMs usually are when it comes to the kind of moves that they plan on doing this offseason and who's available via trade. But that's what I'll be discussing with you today. My thoughts on what goaltender can possibly be moved, where would he go, and why it would make sense for the Pens, and what are their options going into this year's offseason with all these other trade rumor possibilities. So stay tuned. But to start off with Matt Murray, he seems like the odd man out. As you know, he has been subject to trade rumors for over a year now easily, has had such an up and down career kind of with the Penguins, because if you look at his stats this year, the 6'4", 178-pound goaltender, 26 years old. He was originally drafted in 2012 in the third round by the Penguins. Of course, had an amazing emergence, first showing out in the playoffs back in 2016, helping the Penguins win the cup with Marc-Andre Fleury being the backup. And same thing in the 2017 season when they won their back-to-back cups. Murray was a huge part of that. But why was that? Was it because of teams not necessarily having as much of a playbook on him, or was it because of his stellar play? I think it was a mix of both, honestly, and having a decent defense in front of him, or a defensively sound team. But then when you get to Murray's stats, in 38 games played this season, because he did deal with some injuries, he had 20 wins, 11 losses, and 5 overtime losses. A goals allowed average of 2.87 and a save percentage of 899. That's the worst save percentage of his career, and really not great numbers for Murray, who has had better seasons before, but he reminds me a lot of an MLB relief pitcher in the sense of being up and down each year, but going back and forth, seesawing with his stats. If you're going back to the 2016-2017 season, he had a goals allowed average of 2.41 and a save percentage of 923 with 4 shutouts. The following season, he had a not nearly as good season with a goals allowed average of 2.92 and a save percentage of 907 with 1 shutout. The year after that, which was last season, he of course had a save percentage of 2.69 and a save percentage of 919 with 4 shutouts again. And this season, I just told you the stats, so back to 1 shutout, worst save percentage of his NHL career thus far. So very interesting. And because of the injury that he sustained earlier in the season, Tristan Jarry steps up and looks great after being out of hockey for basically a year dealing with the injury. He really looks strong. And if you look at Jarry's numbers this season, in 33 games played, he had 20 wins, 12 losses, and 1 overtime loss. A goals allowed average of 2.43 and a save percentage of 921. Jarry, the 25-year-old goaltender, he's 6'2", 194 pounds, and he was drafted in 2013 in the second round by the Penguins. The Penguins have always done well with goaltending for quite some time now, really drafting guys in the middle of later rounds that have been solid for them when they need them to be, besides the likes of having a higher pick first overall like Marc-Andre Fleury, and even before that when they had Thomas Vokoun, who they didn't draft but still was solid for them. I was a big Vokoun fan back in the day. But regardless, when it comes to this Penguins team, Murray seems like the odd man out, and there's been a lot of reports, especially by Darren Dreger recently, that he could possibly go to the Toronto Maple Leafs. I don't think that would be a great deal for the Maple Leafs side of things. I just talked about them regarding Frederik Andersen. I know that they might change some things. I just don't think that acquiring a guy like Murray to the Leafs wouldn't make too much sense to me personally. But maybe Leafs fans, if you watch this, comment down below your thoughts on that. I just don't know how I feel about that. I don't think that's a very feasible option, but I do think that there is a very strong chance Murray's going, no question. The Minnesota Wild look like a favorite for sure. All the Alberta teams, if you will, between the Edmonton Oilers and Calgary Flames, they all could use some goaltending help for sure. So what would a return for Matt Murray look like? I'm not sure if he would be able to get a first round pick. He is an RFA, of course, given his contract situation, which leads into moving him as well. He has a cap hit of 3.75 in his RFA now versus Tristan Jarry, who only has a cap hit of $675,000 for his RFA. So he is due for a big payday, but not too serious. No, probably just going to make a couple mil. I don't know how long term of a contract the Penguins are looking for, assuming they're going to resign him. But when it comes to Murray, I can see a situation where you might get a bigger haul in him if you say do a deal where you already put the contract in place, where he's guaranteed to sign with that team to a long-term deal. That could help things, but I think the Penguins are without question looking for a first-round pick and some either immediate help in the lineup or a possible decent prospect. I don't think they're going to get a huge haul for Murray, but they definitely deserve to get something solid for him. He's still young in his career and has had some very strong seasons for the Penguins, not to mention some very good playoff runs, as we all know, in their back-to-back Stanley Cup winning seasons. But when it comes to Jarry, he seems like he'll be the goaltender of the future for the Penguins. The only way I don't see that happening is if the Penguins really shake things up, possibly get rid of both of them, which I don't see happening, and possibly going for a guy on the free agent market, because this goalie market this year is going to be insane, as we all know. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Jarry is very solid, better between him and Murray, in my opinion. But getting on to when it comes to Jim Rutherford and some of the things that he has discussed to the media already, he already has been open about the goaltending possibility, but also he did talk about Evgeni Malkin, and while he isn't shopping him, he is going to be listening. And there has been evidence that over the past couple of years, when it talks about possibly moving Malkin, there has actually been some substance to that, which is something that I don't think anyone would have expected. And in my personal opinion, when it comes to Evgeni Malkin, I think it makes perfect sense for him to be a Penguin for the entirety of his career. But he does, of course, only have 2 years left on his contract, and depending on how the Penguins go into this next season, if say they have another failed season, it wouldn't surprise me at all to get rid of Evgeni Malkin going into his contract year. You can get a huge haul for him, even after being in his mid-30s now, because he had a monster year this year. I expect the same next year. He was amazing relief for Sidney Crosby as well, with him being out of the lineup. Malkin just does fantastic, especially when Crosby is out. They both do. It's kind of funny how that works, but I don't see Malkin moving, but he will be listening, as he has mentioned. But realistically, when you look at this Penguins team, they have a cap hit currently of just over 81 mil, I believe 81.8 mil, but they are going to get a lot of guys off their books, including Connor Sheary, who had a cap hit of 3 mil. I don't see them re-signing him, and Patrick Marleau with 700K UFA as well, and then Justin Schultz, the biggest one, with 5.5 mil. I don't think they should re-sign him at all. I don't think that'd be a good idea at all for them. He's 30 years old, injury prone. I think the Penguins can handle just fine without him. So take away that, the Penguins are going to have at least 10 mil to really work with when it comes to cap space. That's not including re-signing free agents with the likes of Jared McCann, who's due for an extension. You know, the young centerman has been solid, only cap it at 1.25. And then you look at both Murray and, of course, Jarry being RFAs. They obviously don't want to keep both of them, and I think they trust the fact of having Casey DeSmith be the backup for them going forward, or maybe they don't. Maybe they will get someone in free agency. I'm not sure, but a lot of possibilities lie with this Pittsburgh Penguins team, and I really think that they're going to make a splash. I can very well see a situation where they go out and make some big moves. Maybe Chris Letang will be on the move. I'm not sure. I know Penguins fans, you might be bothered by me saying that, but it is a possibility. I don't know his contract situation, though. If he does have a full no move clause, that might be the case. I'm honestly not sure, but I do know the Penguins are going to make some big moves in this year's offseason, and as that has been evident between Kasperi Kapanen and the inevitability of getting rid of at least one goaltender. So let me know in the comments below, guys. Penguins fans, what do you think is going to happen this offseason? Are you worried about Jim Rutherford and the kind of ideas that he has? Because as we all know, Rutherford loves giving out first-round picks and some good prospects, and that was evident in the trade with Kasperi Kapanen. I hope that doesn't happen again, but it is a possibility at the end of the day. So if you are a Penguins fan or a hockey fan overall, let me know in the comments below, where do you think Matt Murray is going to go? Because he definitely seems like the first guy to be knocked out of this lineup. Whoever it may be going forward, that is the $1,000,000 question. But I want to leave you with one last note too. When Rutherford was on Pierre Lebrun's podcast, he also did mention how he is seeing a possible lack of heart with guys like Malkin, Crosby, etc. Knowing that they've won multiple cups in their career already, do they have that drive to have another deep playoff run? Because it gets more difficult the more times you win for a lot of players. So Rutherford is definitely questioning the core group of this team, but he has made it clear that he does not plan on moving any of these guys, obviously. If Crosby gets moved, then I'll be damned. But he did leave you with a great quote, basically explaining that if Wayne Gretzky, the best player of all time to get moved, then basically anyone else can. So he will be listening like he does every year. I don't think there's anything to worry about there for Penguins fans with Malkin and Crosby. It won't surprise me to see them retire as Penguins, obviously, but you have to wonder, what are the Penguins going to do? I think they're going to make a splash that no one is really going to expect going into this offseason, with Rutherford possibly making moves that we have never seen before. So let me know all your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Check out my previous videos. Hit like, hit subscribe if you enjoy this kind of hockey content. Thank you all so much for helping us past 500 subs, and now help us reach 1,000. Once I get there, I can start doing live stream commentaries on things like playoff games leading up to the draft itself, and just talking, having hockey chats, having fun. I think that's great. But thank you all so much for the support. It means a lot to me. Give me all your thoughts down below. Check out previous videos like that Kasperi Kapanen trade if you're a Penguins fan, and I'll be back very, very soon.